Career modes in cricket games have been somewhat of a new concept, especially when you look at other sports games, but Big Ant Studios gave the mode a shot way back in 2014 with DBC 14, and since then there have been 4 separate career modes. Let's compare those 4 modes in DBC 17, Ashes 17, Cricket 19 and Cricket 22. 22 feels like the obvious winner, but is it? Let's find out. Cricket 22's career mode is very ambitious. Big Ant Studios have gone for a well-rounded career mode that we have seen and played through in games like NBA, FIFA or even UFC games to a lesser degree, where it's not just match after match but meaningful distractions in the form of stories, training, progression, cutscenes and more. Cricket 22's career starts off pretty well, where you feel like you're playing a full-fledged game mode. You start off with a phone call to your agent, picking a club team, talking to your coach about your strengths and weakness, adjusting your skills, and finally you get into your first match. From that point on, your main goal is to perform and move on to the next level, from club cricket to domestic to international. The mode starts off with a lot of cutscenes and story elements, but they do dry up as you go along. Training mini-games are fun, in fact they're really well done, but no matter how well you craft mini-games, if you do the same thing for 100 plus hours, it is going to get repetitive. You can maybe play through 2 career modes before you lose interest completely, which is a pretty long time. But the first time you play the mode, for the first 20 or so hours, it's actually incredibly addictive. And it becomes addictive once again after you reach the international level. You play against and with players you recognize in tournaments that you're familiar with. I mean, how can playing through a World Cup with your player ever be boring? But there's a time in between where you have lost the initial spark and you haven't reached the international level yet, where the game can start feeling sluggish and repetitive. Check out my Cricket 22 career mode review if you want more on the mode. I'll leave the link to the video in the description box below. Cricket 19's career mode is more of the same from previous games, but one thing I really love about it is the in-game progression of skills, which is really well done. This once again helps the mode feel like a game mode with actual progress. You do the usual career mode stuff, making your way to your national team all the way down from club cricket, but there's a complete lack of any new gameplay elements. It's almost a carbon copy of Ashes 17, and just like Ashes 17, gameplay is brilliant and engaging, but in a different way. With such solid gameplay, all they need to do is add elements outside the pitch, which they eventually did in 22, but 19 doesn't have any of those elements. No training drills, no cutscenes, no stories, which to be honest even 22 doesn't have. The fact that this is Big Ant Studios' 4th attempt at a career mode and they have literally given us the same mode for the 4th time is definitely the most frustrating part of it. I mean, these games come out at a higher price than most AAA games and they feel like a DLC or worse. But again, there's also the fact that Big Ant Studios themselves aren't the biggest developers out there. With limited resources and somewhat of a small budget, you can't really do all that much. But they probably could have done better than this. Starting from the bottom and going all the way to the top is a simple but effective foundation. The problem once again is beyond that, DBC 17 has no other elements. It's pretty much only on-field gameplay. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the on-field gameplay here, but when you have nothing to do other than that, it can feel pretty empty. Having a few cutscenes here and there can make it infinitely better, as evidenced by Cricket 22. I don't want to compare a cricket title to NBA again, they have such different budgets and resources and all, but in my opinion, NBA 2K games have the best career modes, and I think it's because they have somewhat of a story. Whereas Don Bradman Cricket 17 feels like a series of exhibition matches and your player being the only thing reminding you that this is in fact a career mode. The game has really strong gameplay mechanics, batting for your national side and scoring 100 in a thrilling chase or batting an entire day in a test match to take your team to a draw are as satisfying as you'd expect. These scenarios that depend on your performance are seen in every game, each time unique and different than the last time. Sometimes you need to be aggressive, reckless, other times you might have to block every single ball. Batting with the tail, for example, is one of my favorite things to do. Taking risks for the first 4 balls and then getting to the non-striker's end. This is not exciting when you're playing as the entire team in an exhibition match or something, but in career mode, it is nail-biting. This aspect remains fun for a long time. Just the sheer amount of different scenarios and challenges keep things fresh on the gameplay side of things. If you don't want to play for local club teams and grind your way through domestic cricket, you can start off with international, playing as a star cricketer, which is a nice addition. After the first 1 or 2 playthroughs, you really don't feel like playing for unknown club teams once again. One more thing I love is captaining your team. It is actually fun, especially in T20s, changing fields and bowling orders, and when it comes down to batting, it is actually even more fun. Changing your own batting order, promoting or depromoting yourself accordingly is something no one talks about, but it's the first thing I do when I make captain. But in the end, if you have played Don Bradman Cricket 14, there are no real noticeable differences here. And it's not all great either. Career mode has some strange problems, good players are left out, and teams like Zimbabwe make their way to the top of the rankings. But these are minor bugs and are pretty easy to look over. Once again, Ashes Cricket 2017 doesn't have any significant improvements to the mode. It irons out some of the bugs and problems of previous games, and they have done a good job. I didn't encounter any teams that don't even play test on top of the rankings, but there are some problems with AI players. Players who play club cricket with you never seem to make the jump to international cricket. Small things like players at the end of their careers can retire. It could make things better, but there's no such system in place here. It's just the same players who keep playing forever like immortals. The lack of any new features means you are playing a polished version of DBC 17's career mode with some new gameplay elements and players. The customization has gotten a little better with more options to batting stances and bowling actions, but it's still limited. If you're expecting something completely new, you will be disappointed. I think Cricket 22 does have the better career mode, and I think most of you will agree. On-field gameplay has always been pretty good, so it was only a matter of nailing down features outside the pitch, and Big Ant Studios after 5 attempts have somewhat done that. There's still so much that they can do, and hopefully with their next game they do just that. Add even more features and elements to the mode instead of, being satisfied with what they have done with Cricket 22 and keep the mode the same. Well, that's it for today. Subscribe to the channel for more. We have just crossed 1,000 subscribers, so thank you all for that. Like, comment, share if you want to show your support. Thanks for watching and have a great day wherever you are.